Hey, how's it, friends? Kane Schlenker here. So our objective for this video is making a test or quiz on Schoology. Now, what's amazing about this feature is that if you set it up right and with certain questions, Schoology will do all the grading for you, and you'll just get the scores for students and be able to kind of check on how they're doing along the way, which is great news. So, who doesn't like saving time, right? Especially us crazy teachers. So let's get started. I'll show you how to create and make and do some cool stuff with tests or quizzes and assessments. All right, so if you go to your Schoology page, your launch here, this is your launch page, of course. You're going to go to courses. This is my A block freshman English course. This is my launch page, my update page. So I'm going to go into materials here. Materials, I have my 3 folders: lessons, assignments, share space, syllabus, and class expectations. So I'm going to go to my lessons and assignments here. Now I'm going to go right to this September 14th to 18th this week. Now if I open this folder, I have 2 things in here. I have my video lesson on writing a good conclusion, and then I have my additional resources. This has all kinds of different materials in it. And so now I want to do is I want to add a test or quiz, right? Because at the end of the week or wherever, at some point, obviously you want to do some formative assessment, see if they're getting the materials. So let's call this writing a conclusion. That comes right up. That's great because I did this before. Okay, then I'm going to name my test or quiz and put my due date in here. Let's say September 17th. Let's say I'll make it worth 100 points. Now, of course, it's up to you on how many points you want it to be worth. I'm going to go to categories, make it a quiz. Set up for forever. Once you get to this point, once things are set up, only certain things will come up in the period, as far as like quarter 1, quarter 2, and so forth. So we're getting there on that. We're not quite there yet. And the rest looks just good. It's going to be numeric, right? I'm not going to have a rubric. You could also have an option to have a rubric in here if you wanted to. The numeric is the best way to go. Now, this also gives you some options down here, which are kind of cool. If you click this, you can individually assign this test or quiz just to certain students. Or if you create groups in your class, which I think we'll show you on a different video, you can literally just type in the students' names on them, and then this would only show up, this test or quiz would only show up on their specific page, nobody else's. So it's really a nice opportunity to differentiate for your students. So I'm going to take that off for now. So this will publish it to students so they can see it right away. You can hold off on that and just make the quiz, but not have it actually show up for students to see it. This will give you grade statistics. I would do is, and this is just a suggestion. So when it says comments, I always like to disable the comments. And so basically, if you enable comments, students can make comments about the quiz or have questions or whatever. So that might be something that you'd be interested in doing, but I didn't like that option. It just because students get confused, where am I supposed to write my answers, stuff like that. And they think that it's in the comments box, or sometimes you'll get, comments that you're not really ready for about your test or quiz in that space. So I would disable that, but that's up to you as a teacher. Okay, and then once it's made and so forth, then you can copy them to other courses. So you only have to make it once, and then you can copy to courses. And then I'll show you at the end of the video how to save these quizzes to your resources so you can have them forever. Okay, I'm gonna hit create here. All right, now I have this toolbar at the top. So you can start with questions, right? So add a question. You can add a true or false question. This is pretty straightforward. You type in your question here, and then you can mark off if it's true or false as the correct answer. And then kind of a cool option too is if it is a false answer, you have those true or false questions that are like, oh, if it's false, make it true. You can have them correct it to make the statement true, which is kind of cool. And so this will tell you it's a subjective question. Is there a right or wrong? Is it just this answer, that answer, or is this objective? Like I said, it'd be objective or subjective. And then do you want to give them a certain time limit to answer the question? And then you can make it for how many points you want to make it. Hit create question. You can create a multiple choice question. Same thing here, ask questions. You put your choices in. You click which answer to make it correct. So this one will grade itself as well. You can randomize the choices. So this is usually kind of good if somebody's looking over somebody's shoulder or something like that. You can allow partial credit, timed questions, and then same thing, you want to put your number of points in there. You can do an ordering question. Okay, you ask the question, and then they have to put them in the correct order. This might be good for math or science, or whatever, really. You can add more choices if you'd like. You can remove blanks if you think there's too many there. You can allow partial credits. You can make it a time question as well, and decide on how many points that question will be worth. And then when you get to more of these short answer, fill in the blanks, and matching, a short answer essay question is not something that they will be able to grade for you. So this is obviously you create this question. Now what's cool is also you can allow the kids to make videos or audio for their answers, or different rich text answers for questions and so forth. So you can kind of play around with that if you'd like. There's even an option in the short answer essay, and really I think all of them, where you can make an audio video recording of yourself and ask the question that way. So that's kind of a cool option as well. Okay, so those are your standard questions. You have fill in the blanks and matching, so same thing from there. And so that's how you make your questions. Now for settings, this is an important one. What you want to do is you can put your instructions and directions for students. Now, this will always be set to disable under submissions. So what you want to make sure you do before the test is make sure that you enable it, okay? Or you can set it where you enable it from this date to that date, or from this date to that date until this date, or hit disable. But this always comes up with teachers where it's like, I made this quiz, but the kids can't see it. It's because under settings, it's under disable. So you want to make sure that's enabled. You can decide on time limits. You can decide on how many attempts you want them to take. If this is a one-shot deal, it's a one-shot deal. If it's an essay or something like that, and usually they need more time, I will allow them a couple more tries at it. You can randomize the order of questions. So again, if you don't want somebody looking over somebody's shoulder, the order of the questions will be totally different. Using page breaks, so that's from question to question, so you can make it show up where all the questions are there on one page, where the kids can just scroll down to answer whatever question they want, or they have to answer that question, and then it goes on to the next question. You can only see one question at a time. Language keyboard, you can decide on that if you're a Spanish teacher, or if you want to enable it for students to be able to answer in Spanish. Question review, so that's that the kids can allow students to review and change their answers before submitting, so they can review before they submit. I always like to make it resumable, so that means like if something crashes in the middle of it, or the kid needs to go to the bathroom or something, they can come back and just pick up where they left off. And the last one is view submissions, and this one is, yes, they can view their submissions after they've hit submit, the submit button. They can see what they put for answers. And for if you have true or false questions, multiple choice, and so forth, you can hit yes with correct answers, and that will show them exactly, like they can see their score immediately as soon as they're done taking the test, which is cool. You can hit save changes. Make sure you always hit save changes at the bottom, and you'll save it there. Now, if you want to do printing options, you can create the tests, like a hard copy of the test or quiz, which is obviously good for some differentiation purposes and so forth. So that is an option here as well. Now, when you're done and you've made everything you've done your things, you can preview the test or quiz. You can hit start a new attempt, and it will show you exactly what it'll look like for the students, and you can even like kind of do the quiz or test to make sure it looks good for the kids. Once they do it, obviously they have to do the quiz first or the test first, and then you can hit results, and this is where you would see how the kids did, or you can go in to see students to grade the test or quiz. And then comments here is if you've disabled comments, you won't be able to see the comments. But these are if students have questions or comments and so forth from there. Okay, so that is so that's the general setup for creating a test or quiz. One thing I would definitely suggest is that once you're done and you've got what you want and you're happy with the test or quiz that you've created, the assessment you've created, go over to this gear shift, and I would, of course, you can copy it to different courses right from here, but I would always save it to your resources and make a little folder in your resources for tests or quizzes, and you can have them all in one spot, or you can have them wherever. These are all the different folders I have. If you wanted your folder to fall into a certain unit or whatever is going to be easiest way for you to organize it. Because remember, the idea is that the resources are always there for you. They will never go anywhere. It's your own kind of personal library, your own little drive. So always save your stuff there, and that's easy place to disseminate it from, like a central location to disseminate tests, assignments, quizzes, all that kind of good stuff. Okay, so that is creating a test or quiz on Schoology, and some of which will grade themselves for you. Okay, thank you so much. Hope you're having a great day.